Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing my microphone. Welcome to Nadia's Late Night Talks with secondary host Michael.
I'm secondary now? Rude. Welcome back for another coffee break, guys. Hope you had a good weekend.
Woohoo! Hello.
Quickly. Oh, wait. I had a whole intro plan and I can't even remember it. Okay.
Okay, start over again.
No, not even that. I'm not even going to remember it. It's all good. So, before we start onto the subject that we're talking about today for the next 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
It'll be like a segue into it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I finished watching Hello Me, and that's gonna be the main topic of that show is gonna be the topic of today.
Yeah.
And it kind of relates to a lot of things, but the main focus is the focus of this show.
Yeah.
So I just want to remind everyone that we are not professionals in these fields. Okay. These are opinions, personal views, our opinions, the way we see things, the way we experience things, and we're just sharing it with you. And this is not this is not a go-to to get all the info that you need.
No.
This is literally something that'll give you a start to get into it.
Yeah.
Kind of okay, we talked about it. Now go and Google it. Find professionals that are in these fields. Granted, in things that we talk about, the field of expertise is very narrow. It's a smaller field, right? So a lot of spirituality, a lot of different Reiki masters and stuff like that.
Well, it's smaller, but it's getting bigger. It's becoming the trend.
Yeah, no, I get that. I understand that. I'm just saying it's a lot smaller than being oh, you need a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Well, that field is pretty big, and you can go and look in the yellow pages if they exist anymore.
Yeah, online.
Okay, so today is all about the inner child. Okay. Now I'm wearing Batman. If you guys didn't see that, okay. And the inner child plays a big role in his personality, in who he is. Okay. And in the show Hello Me, that was with Choi Kang-hee and Kim Young-kwak, this show really focused on her healing. Okay. And the whole premise of the show is that imagine your child self, your 20-year-old younger or 10-year-old younger you shows up. You know what I mean? And the show really really emphasizes on healing your inner child is what it is. And it's when you heal your inner child, you're healing yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're healing yourself, and you're healing all you're facing, and healing all that trauma from then till now kind of thing, right?
And you're forgiving yourself too at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a process. It's a long process. I'm going to emphasize that it's not overnight.
If only,
right? If it was that simple, we'd all be happier, right? Yeah. It's a long process. It could take years,
You could be lucky and maybe make a breakthrough with in a couple months.
Yeah, it's all in it's all you. The work is all you. No matter who you go see, no matter what no matter what Reiki master specialist that you go see, the work is you.
Yeah, they make you do the work anyways. So you might as well get them to help you. And
exactly.
Maybe steer you on the right path.
Exactly. So the show, I really for those who for for those who know about the about inner child healing, this is a great show to watch. This is amazing. This drama it doesn't focus on the love interest. Okay, he's there. Okay,
Yeah.
he's great. And what is amazing is that how supportive he is. Like there's no
Like pick me, choose me.
yeah, there's none of that. It's not like it's not he's fighting for her attention and she's like, do I like him, do I not? The focus is on her. Okay, and he does a great job of literally the entire show of supporting her. And that's like the type of person that you want. That's the type of person that you need in your life, is someone that'll support you that way.
Do you think it's a good show for people who are just learning about inner child work?
100%.
Yeah.
This is like you know when you're reading novels and you get like personifications of certain aspects, right? So it's like, or like, sorry, not only personifications, but oh man, I forgot the proper terminology, but it's where it's those points where the character faces themselves inside themselves. Well, this is in this show, it's that same situation, but they're facing themselves outside of themselves. So that child is real. They're physically there. You know what I mean? Like everybody sees this person. She interacts with the rest of the world, right? So they took the inner conflict and brought it out to kind of show it off, right?
Which makes sense.
And that's what that was really great about the show. But it's also good for those who don't necessarily know that they're going through this, because inner child, like working on your inner child, you don't necessarily know that you're like the traumas, the depression, the stress, and whatever it stems from back then. It's these are the things that if you read like my last Instagram post, these are things that you've experienced at a young age, at an age that you shouldn't have been experiencing these things.
Yeah.
Right. And what your mind does, as you know what I mean, as a means of self-defense, as like for self-preservation, is that it tries to bury it and hide it so deep down in your subconscious that you don't even know it's there anymore.
Yeah.
So when you go back to memories of events that came before and after this happened, you don't remember it, and you don't think that ever actually took place. But subconsciously, the thing is,
right?
Yeah. But it's like another level of denial. Is what it is.
What is it? Fight or flight?
Kind of thing.
Essentially, like it's your body is fighting against something, and it's essentially putting you in denial so you can get away from it.
And that's the thing. Like, so you don't know. You forget entirely about it, and you don't know it's there, so you think it's not affecting the way that you live your life now, right? 20, 30, 10, 15, 20, 30 years later, you don't think that it's affecting the choices that you make in your daily life. You don't think it affects the way you interact with people, the way you react to people and respond to people. Remember, we talked about this. But it's your triggers, right? Exactly. So
like, look at what you trigger against, or what triggers you in your daily life, and like sometimes it will lead you back to a trauma that happened when you were a kid.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like you have so those triggers, okay, like we spoke about in, I can't remember which coffee break now, but we spoke about
was it triggers or was it
reacting and responding?
Oh, okay.
Right?
I'm like, wasn't this just our conversation the other day?
This was our conversation the other day. But when you react to something, when you respond to something, so when you react to something, that's a trigger. That's something that triggered you, right? So you got to kind of think, okay, what is it about that specifically, what he said, what he did, what he said, what she did? Why did I react to it? You know, instead of responding, you know? and then you kind of got to dig deeper.
Yeah.
Again,
it's some dirty work.
Oh yeah, and again, like we're not professional at this, so this is just you take what we say and then go research it.
I think it's more like we're not professionals; it's more personal experience.
Yeah.
We're trying to work through some of our own issues, and we're lucky in the fact that we have each other to support each other, and we also have some other outside support systems that we're super grateful for.
Yeah, exactly. And as I was saying, so Batman, his trauma stems from his seeing his parents get killed in front of him, right?
Yeah.
That's where literally it all starts. From then on, and his whole personality changes. He goes through depression. He goes through different stages of grief, and not just as a kid, but through his life, through his crime fighting. You know what I mean? Like he's constantly like that burden. He's carrying that burden, and the worst part is like he knows it. The thing is, he knows this is what set the whole Batman into motion, right?
Yeah.
And he carries that burden throughout his life. So him, like he's using that as his moral compass. Okay. And it's not necessarily a good thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing because he wants to make sure that nobody else goes through the same things that he did. Right? That's his, right? At the same time, he's not necessarily facing what happened.
Does he ever though?
No, because so he goes through something similar when Jason Todd dies, guys, whoever reads comics knows he doesn't actually die, but dies. And then, Damian Wayne comes, like his son Damian shows up eventually. Like he goes through different cycles of being a parent and then going through the loss and stuff like that, especially like when Batgirl was like shot by Joker and she was paralyzed. You know what I mean? There's a loss there too, right? So he goes through these things, but he never really faces it. He never really faces that issue, right? Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, like he's using it as his kind of his moral compass, like something that that pushes him through the crime fighting. But he doesn't necessarily face it because he just continues doing what he's doing with that amount of anger. Like Batman's an angry motherfucker. Like
that's interesting though. I never really thought of it like that. Like Batman like that. So do you think he's like living in his shadow permanently?
Yeah. Like he's not, he won't change.
And so he'll never
No.
I don't want to say he'll never go into the light, but that sounds weird. But like,
like he's a good person, and like he does. Like,
he means well.
He means well, and he does do things out of the goodness of his heart. Like don't think that, not you, but anybody, think that what he does, you know what I mean, keeps him thinking that he's a bad person. He knows he himself thinks that he's doing right. And he is doing right. He's trying to protect people, but he'll never get over that that grief, that burden, that trauma. He'll never get over it, and he'll never face it. He keeps it's like his fuel to keep going, and he won't ever. You know what I mean? And you kind of see it if you ever watch Batman Beyond. So it's when he gets older, and Terry McGinnis is a younger, like a teen, late teen, early 20s. Who takes over as Batman. Okay. And Bruce Wayne is old, but he's still the same.
So he's essentially like, like, what is it, 7 Steps of Grief? So he's essentially just living in the anger stage of his grief his entire life. Kind of
thing, yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And like and then in Hello Me, she goes through it. So the trauma that the whole plot is around her dad dying. And so spoiler warning to anybody's watching, sorry, her dad dies as she's 17. Her dad ends up dying, getting hit by a truck, saving her, okay, pushing her out of the way of the truck, and he gets hit by the truck and dies.
So she has survivor's guilt.
So exactly. So not only does she have survivor's guilt, her sister blames her. Okay, her mom doesn't necessarily blame her, but still feels that she is in part responsible. And I mean, at the moment in time, like everybody, that's the first thing you're gonna feel is like you shouldn't, like the things that she did led up to that. You know what I mean?
It's not fair to blame a child.
It's not fair, but that's what happens, right? The grandmother, who ended up, she ended up having dementia after it's her son, right?
Yeah.
So dies.
So the trauma makes her like triggers dementia, or it comes on later?
I think it comes on a little later, but I think the dementia kind of warped her vision of her as she got older, and she, every time she's like the grandmother sees her, she hates her, kind of thing. And but when the younger version of herself comes to the present, and the grandma sees her, she dotes on her because that was her like before the accident, she was like her favorite grandchild, right?
Oh, okay.
But you see she didn't really grieve and go through the stages after when she was 17 because of all the blame and everything and all the guilt that she felt, right? She never really grieved. So when it was finally time for her to like her 17-year-old self came from the past before the accident, like as the accident was happening, she got pushed into the future.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So she doesn't know that her dad dies at that point. So when she finds out, that's when her older self finally starts to go through the motions of grief. You know what I mean? Like, and that's when you start seeing she actually starts to grieve for, you know what I mean? And then you see her mother finally kind of understand where her daughter's coming from at that point, where how she was just like how she felt the entire year.
What, 20 years later?
Yeah. Well, remember the Korean mentality is the same as like the Asian mentality is the same as Arab mentality,
I know,
right?
but like,
so they're kind of hard-headed.
Yeah.
In that sense.
So her going through this with her like her child self, does it help her younger self deal with it better?
Yes. Okay. That was an interesting part. That was an interesting part. So, again, I'm going to tell you guys to watch the show. You two over there, watch the show. Because she's grieving for something that didn't happen technically yet. It prepares her for when it actually happens. And again, obviously, it's not like, oh yeah, she'll be fine. No, she still goes through the grieving as well. But she got to see where her life went. Yeah. When all she did was like hide. She literally hide. She was in her room all the time and she was on antidepressants, she was on anti-anxiety pills, she was on like the mom was saying, like she was old in her room. And so when she at one point, like when her sister caught them both together, she's like, why does she look exactly like you? She's like, oh, it's my daughter. So she talks to the mom later and she's like, do you think she had a boyfriend at one point? And her mom's like, no, she was on antidepressants, stuck in her room. She never left the house unless she had to eat. Right? So she like, so the younger self got to see where she went, how her life went, because of her survivor's guilt, caused all that to happen. But she got to see how she affected different people at that age, like at that point, because like even without the child being there, like the child self being there, she did start, you see her like people actually like interact with her, just her. Yeah. But when the child self was there, you can see like people really respond to her, to the younger self, and they kind of get reminded of the older version, kind of like, oh, you're like your mom, kind of thing. You're really like, you used to be like your mom used to be like that, or whatever, right? So this still starts to see it. So
haven't I said this before about myself?
Yeah. So that's where you get to see the younger self got to see it. Yeah. Right. So she got to she was lucky enough to be like, okay, that's not how I want my life to turn out. Right. Or like, I still become a great person. It just, I don't want that portion of what happened to happen. Right.
Which makes sense. And like,
of course.
So it essentially helped her younger self and her older self to maybe not get over it. Right.
You never get over it. You move forward.
Yeah.
You move forward.
Get over the hump.
Yeah. So you'll never get over anything. It'll always be there. Okay. Lingering in the back of your mind. It'll always be there.
But at least you forgive yourself.
Exactly. What you can do is you can live with the memories.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to, it doesn't allow you to fall back into that state of mind.
So it's no longer traumatic. Or the triggers from it don't trigger you as they used to.
Exactly. Technically, it's you controlling that memory now, right?
Cool.
Yeah. I think we overstepped our boundaries here. Anyways, we're gonna, once you watch this show, this coming up season, season 2 starts next week. With Vincenzo. Woo! So, but we will once Vincenzo Quasano. Once Nadia watches Hello Me, we'll discuss it, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to have our special guest May Huri from Chocolata jump in on that too, and we should have that later on the season.
If only we could do it in person.
Eventually, maybe by then.
Maybe
we'll see. Anyways, we'll see you next Friday, and we do a coffee break next week.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see you next Wednesday, and then we'll see you on Friday.
Woohoo!
And contest details
next week.
Details coming up
starting Monday, right?
On Monday.
Monday.
She's taking care of it, so we'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Peace.